When I left for college, my folks lived on the end of a long dirt road right next to the Everglades in South Florida. And when I came back from college, all of the farms surrounding that house had been gobbled up by sprawl and gated subdivisions. And I wondered why. So then I went and lived in Rome and experienced a walkable, vibrant neighborhood and what the life was like there. And when I returned to the States, I became incredibly depressed about how we were building our country. And that set me on this path to discover how do we create really vibrant cities and authentic places. And it comes down to a few things, but in 2010, a group of us coined the term tactical urbanism. And it was really about providing tools to normal people. Thousands of normal people now have used these tools to create really wonderful places and improve their neighborhoods in real time. But for me, it comes down to two things that we've learned: that people, passionate people, actually create these places. We have to give them the tools to do that. And the second part is that there's always a compelling reason to be there. And if you give them the right tools, a normal generic parking lot can be made into a wonderful plaza. But what we've also found is that over time, those projects continue to iterate, but eventually they run into a problem where they experience existing regulations, most often zoning codes. And this stops progress. So I think our zoning codes and these existing stupid regulations are no longer serving the purpose that they originally intended, which was to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. So we know that the street on the left is more vibrant socially and economically, but our zoning codes are creating very generic places like the street on the right, and it can be anywhere. But what we really want is local. We want local experiences and those places that have meaning to us. So these zoning codes, they're spreading out our communities, resulting in us being fatter and less happy. And this sedentary lifestyle that most people don't really get to choose is really affecting our public health in a staggering way. It also results in wider roads and faster moving automobiles, which has more death. And the form that a lot of these zoning codes create results in families having less money. Walking is free, but in most places you need a car, sometimes two, just to live. And we know that walkable places are the solution to a number of these problems. But what we often forget is that that existing zoning is not changing itself. It's hard to do. It's complex. It takes wonky planners like myself to do that. But we think that can change. So if you give people the right tools, they can take a dangerous street and overnight make it into a vibrant place that you actually want to spend time. So we think we need to actually move beyond zoning and create a set of tools that allow authentic places to really come up from the local community. And we've started to build that system. And it's, elegantly designed around all the elements that humans have used for thousands of years to assemble ourselves, to live. It's blocks, squares, streets, and buildings. And it comes down at its core about character. Character is what makes a place special, makes it different from what's in the next town over or across the country. So if we can make a zoning system able to produce really meaningful character, we'd be going in the right place. And it comes down to using the familiar buildings that we already know and love. And how do we allow those codes to connect to the long-term vision of these places so that the local community can really believe in them and that growth is good again. And what I find when talking to people, it's so hard to add on to your home in many cities and towns. And it's unfortunate that when the new baby arrives, you can't build a nursery. And we think that's wrong. We think codes should allow for adaptation and change so that these real places can become more and more unique over the years. And it's funny, most zoning codes are totally interested in the private lot, and they never pay attention to how those buildings come together. And it's really the space between them that's the most important and adds the most value. And for us, we wanted to pay attention to that because the street is where the magic happens. And why shouldn't our regulations support that? So when I travel around the country, I sometimes find myself on one of those streets where you just are totally comfortable walking right down the middle of it. That's never an objective of any city planner or any architect. But that's the place that's really special. And what I find is that care and thought had been given to the form and function of those places. But unfortunately, our existing zoning regulations never have that objective in mind. So we're calling this new system the Place Code, and we're really excited about it, and we think it's built on some really fundamental ideas around how we create authentic places. And we've been working for several years with a group of talented architects, planners, and most importantly, neighborhood advocates to build this system. And we want to open source this platform so that over time, it gets better, so that zoning codes and the way we regulate and build our homes and our streets and our neighborhoods is no longer a reason to stop authentic places from being created. So how does this work in the real world? This is a small seaside neighborhood called Higgins Beach. And a few years ago, we were asked to help them with a big problem they had. Their silly zoning code was creating caricatures of houses. And over time, decades now, mind you, it'd been destroying the heritage of that place. So this is a simple problem, but it was a complex problem for this community to solve. And they hadn't done it for decades. So how do you attack that? How do you change that zoning? So we rented a little cottage, and we actually lived in the neighborhood. We wanted to become a local, and we rewrote their zoning and gave them a place code, one that they could trust and one that they had created themselves. So this is the last house created under their old code. This is the first house that was built under the place code. And it's pretty obvious to see which one contributes to the neighborhood's heritage and which one doesn't belong. So we've found that this system is working. It's addressing that one issue for Higgins Beach, and many other homes are being built that actually are positively affecting the neighborhood. And we have a number of place codes going through adoption now, in small places like Higgins Beach, but in larger places like Somerville. And we think this system works so well that we want to give it away for free to every municipality in the country. Thank you. We want zoning to not be an excuse for great, authentic places not being created. We control zoning. And for us, we want to build this platform so it's a set of collaborative, open source tools so planners, all the way down to homeowners, can use it to build new zoning for themselves. So I'm asking you today to go talk to your local planning director, sit her down, and ask them, is our zoning code not good for us? And if you find out it is, go tell your neighbors. Go get them together and change that zoning. This is your responsibility because people create great places. So I'm asking you today to help me. Go out there and become one of those people that are making authentic places possible again. Thank you.